Welcome to Garden Delights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to talk about cabbage, and we're also going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and I can't wait to see what he's going to show you later. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. We're talking about cabbage today. And you know, I love cabbage. I can eat it any time of the year. But let's talk about why I can eat it all during the year, because I know it's so good for you. It is low sodium. It's going to be cholesterol free, fat free. It's very high in vitamin C and K. Not only that, but you're going to get a lot of good fiber from it and a lot of good potassium. So if you don't like bananas, a great way to get that potassium. Now, when you're purchasing a cabbage at the grocery store, you do want to pick it up and look at it. You want to make sure you don't see any bruises. You want to make sure that it's compact, the leaves are compact, because that tells you that that cabbage is really shaped up like it needs to. And then when you're looking at it, you know, you can pick it up because you can feel the heaviness and you can compare to another one how heavy it is. So make sure you're looking at that. Of course, if you're growing your own, you can really watch how it forms and makes that wonderful cabbage head for you to pick and everything. So that's a good thing. When you're buying a head of cabbage, you want to make sure you put it in your refrigerator, and it can keep in there around 7 days. Hopefully you know something you're going to do with it in that 7 days. But if you do decide to cut it and you're going to use half of it, it's only going to keep around 2 days. So you do want to try to use it as soon as you can. Now, I have a cabbage here that's already shredded. And normally when you buy shredded cabbage, it's going to be in a bag, and that's about the average you can keep also a bag of lettuce. So you do want to put it in a bag to keep it longer. So when we come back, we're going to check out what Frank's talking about out in that garden. So we'll see you back in just a little bit.
Today we're out here with Gary West of Westworthy Farm. Gary is one of our farmers market vendors, and he's been a vendor. I think we're going on about the 13th year of this thing.
Yeah,
and he's
over
been
10 years, yeah.
He's been a vendor the whole time. He grows a lot of tomatoes, a lot of heirloom tomatoes. That's kind of what he's popular for. He also grows a lot of other vegetables and things too. And he has people, his regular customers will come out here and get some tomatoes from him in between markets. And
they're cheating.
So yeah, in fact, some days at the market, he doesn't have very much left over because they come out here and get it. But I'm gonna let Gary just tell you a little bit about his farm here. He doesn't have a huge place, but he grows a lot of good vegetables. And so Gary, tell us a little bit about your place here.
All right, well, I'll have to give you credit on some of this, Frank. Some of this is, this over here is your idea with the covers and stuff, and that really helps with the heirlooms. As you know, they don't like to get beat up with the sun.
Right.
And to grow those, they're a little bit, you know, picky as to what they get, and this really works well. I try to get the most out of my land that I can. Of course, I irrigate out of my small pond here, and that helps a lot. So, you know, they're getting good water out of the lake there, and you know, I put this up to try to get a little early so I can get people tomatoes a little early. This year it's been a little, everybody knows we've had some cool nights, had frost, just 3 or 4 weeks ago, really.
Yeah.
And so I think things are going to be a little slow this year to start with, but like always, and then I think they'll come on then. Well,
we got you to cover yours up a little bit.
Well, yeah.
But I didn't cover mine up this year, so the frost.
Big styrofoam cup.
Frost is taking mine
That'll
out.
help. Yeah.
I've had to replant them. But
and we've got some good cabbage up here on top of the hill, and collards and things like that, turnip greens. The green beans are really starting to come on now. Good. So We're gonna be in good shape here probably 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. Well, tell us what your secret is to growing these heirloom tomatoes. We have a lot of folks that want to grow them and try to grow them. Some have good success, but
Well, number one thing growing any tomato, as you know, is some straw or mulch under them to keep the water from splashing up, because the disease is already in the ground that will hurt them, the different viruses and things.
right.
Heirloom's like a little shade. You don't have to get this elaborate. Just something in that midday sun, but it won't just beat them up, you know. And then I use, I take cow manure and I mix up some Epsom salts and some gypsum and a little bit of fertilizer, not much. I use 5, 10, 10 I think on tomatoes, and just a little bit until they can really start using that cow manure, but then that's it.
I guess your cow manure's aged a little, so you.
Oh yeah, I always buy it from the store at the compost.
Right. So
Yeah, don't don't try to make your own. Just go buy it.
yeah, I've had people go down to the stockyard and get some, and a lot of times there's been herbicide put on the pasture, and so they actually just kill their crop.
I actually a few years ago got I don't know where it came from, but I got a couple of bags that apparently that had happened.
Yeah.
And I lost 10 or 15 tomatoes. They just turned yellow and died. And I don't usually lose a tomato.
Yeah, it's best not to be using fresh manure.
Yeah, but this came in the bag, so
yeah,
I mean it happens.
It's aged, but okay.
But that cow manure is the secret, and you know, and like a row like that right there, 70 foot long, it'll have about, you know, altogether 4 bags in it.
Right.
You know, and that feeds it for 3 months. And that's about all you're gonna get out of the tomato anyway, about 3 months.
Yeah, and you mentioned gypsum. For those that don't know, gypsum is a calcium sulfate, I believe is what it is. Same thing they make sheetrock out of.
But it doesn't change the pH. That's the important thing.
It doesn't change the pH. It's a neutral pH. So it gives you a little added calcium. Calcium is important to help prevent blossom end rot. Blossom end rot is a calcium deficiency, but it also can be caused by planting when the soil's cold too early, not developing a good root system, so the roots can't keep up with the plant. You can probably help that along by adding too much nitrogen, so you get a plant that just really blasts off, but the roots haven't kept up with it. And so it's an early season problem for the most part. The roots in the plant, they'll catch up with the calcium as time goes on. So a lot of times people have blossom end rot and they go get some blossom end rot spray, and then they don't have any more blossom end rot, but it's not really because of the spray, it's because the plant caught up with delivering the calcium to the plant.
Here in Henry County, and I've always been told, we're short on not only calcium, but magnesium. And just like your body, a plant can't use, you can give it all the calcium in the world, if it doesn't have the magnesium, it's not going to absorb it.
Right.
So that's where the Epsom salts comes in. That's important.
That's magnesium.
Yep, that will really help your plant. That'll help prevent blossom end rot, because it can use the calcium out of the soil too. So that'll help that too.
Okay. All right, and so you've kind of made it through the bad weather here without losing too much.
Yeah, I don't lose nothing, really.
Yeah, okay. And you can see the plants here behind me. They got tomatoes on them already. They're getting ready to blast off, and then we got some over here on the other side that are younger than these, that are not quite in the same stage. How many plants you got all together?
Right now, I think we got about 220 in the ground. And I'm fixing to put another 20, 30, probably about another 30 here in the next 2 days.
Okay.
And then I'll start over here, and I'll probably get 50 or 60 over here. So we'll get up around 300 plants before it's over with.
Yep. And we sell a lot of tomatoes at the farmer's market. Gary provides his share of them.
I can't grow them.
Yeah, that's probably the most popular thing. When the tomatoes are ripe, the farmer's market has a big crowd. When we don't have any tomatoes, The crowd's not quite as big, but it like the blossom end right, it catches up as we go along
Right,
here,
yeah.
so we get more tomatoes and more people shopping. So, and we've been doing it for quite a while now. We're gonna go, I think, up here and take a look at your vegetable patch
Up here with the greens is that, yep, and collards and then the cabbage and the green beans. They're looking good.
So yeah, I think we'll just take a little trip up there.
And we got a little squash coming on. I
Yeah.
noticed they look, one of the little.
They're looking
little-
good. The squash is kind of behind our camera here, but
Yes, a little. I got it done a little late. You know, it got that. I was piddling, but I wasn't paying that close attention, and it caught me. Stayed too dry on me, but they're coming on now.
all right. Well, why don't we go take a look at some of the rest of your garden here, and then folks can come see you at the farmer's market
That's right.
here in a couple
Well, you
of
know,
weeks.
we have squash, cucumbers, green beans, okra, all that stuff. And of course some jams and jellies. I made some of that good strawberry jelly.
So let's move up here and take a look at what you're doing, and then we're gonna go inside and see what Susan's fixing.
Welcome back to Garden Delights. Today we're going to be using the cabbage that I talked about earlier. We're going to be making a cabbage pasta salad. And to me, this is a great thing to make when you're hot, you want something to cool you off, something easy to make, and this is a really, really easy recipe. So what I have already is I have about 2 cups of shredded cabbage. And you can shred your own and make sure you put some carrots in there too, or whatever you want, and some purple cabbage if you want to, but I've already have this already ready. This is 2 cups. The recipe is also going to tell you you need about 2 of the green onions, so I'm going to go ahead and chop those, and I am going to try to chop those pretty thin because I don't want them to overpower the cabbage. I just want them to blend in with the cabbage. And I also don't want to lose one, so they'll roll off this cutting board easily. And I'm going to get a little bit of the green too. I want some of the green part of the onions also. And this will give it a really nice taste, and the onions smell really good. So as you're gardening, and you're gardening when your cabbage is coming in or your onions are coming in, this is a great recipe to put together pretty quick for your family. And I'm gonna get just a little bit more of the green. I think I'm gonna stop on that. I do have my little scoop out here, so I'm hoping I can scoop it up a little bit better than my fingers and just dump it in. Let's see if I can get a little bit more. So that's about 2 green onions, and that does give it a nice green touch to it also. And then it's gonna tell you for the noodle part, this is 1 package of romaine noodles, but you don't use the packet that flavors it. You just want the plain noodles. So I'm going to go ahead and dump these in. You do want to cook them ahead of time, like the directions say. And then once you have those ready, you want to cool them off because you don't want them hot putting them into the cabbage. So make sure that you've cooked those and they're cooled off. So what I want to do right now is just kind of incorporate the noodles. And I did kind of break them up a little bit, so I'm going to try to get some of that cabbage in with it and mix it around really nicely. And you know, this could be one meal in one as far as that goes. You could just have this as your meal. And if you want to go a little bit further, you could add some kind of type meat that you may like to add to it too. And I'm just gonna add this right back into it. So this looks pretty good. I just want to make sure that I have the onions, the cabbage, and the noodles mixed around. Now we're gonna add a little dressing to it. And the dressing's really, really simple. So I have that mixed up. So what I want to do now is mix up my dressing. So the dressing's pretty simple, but you can add anything you want to it. This is red wine vinegar, and this is just going to give it a little spunky taste to it. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my bowl. And then I also have some olive oil, and this is about 4 teaspoons of this and 2 tablespoons of the red wine vinegar, and I'm going to just pour these together. And I love pepper, so it says pepper to taste, but I'm going to put maybe a teaspoon of pepper, maybe less, but I'm going to add that to it also. And I'm going to use my same spoon. I'm just going to stir this around because I want this to kind of be blended together before I pour it onto my salad. And you can sprinkle your pepper on top if you want to, but I thought it would be great if I could just mix it all three together. That way it will combine really nicely with the slaw, the onions, and the cabbage. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this on, kind of move it around. And it's just going to coat it, give a little flavor to it, but it's not going to overpower it. So you're still going to get that crunch, and you're going to get a little bit of that noodle taste. So it's going to be really nicely put together. I'm going to stack a little bit here and see if I can stack some more. And then I'm going to bring this over here so I can stir it a little bit better. So I'm just going to mix it in, and you can tell it's coating everything really nicely. It's going to give it a nice taste to it, but so simple and so tasty. So this looks really good. I can tell that I'm getting it coated with a little bit of the vinegar, the oil, and I can see the pepper on some of the cabbage. So that's good if I keep from throwing it out on the countertop. So it's going to look pretty much like this, simple. So Frank and I will see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Well, Frank, we have a cabbage pasta salad.
Cabbage pasta salad.
Yes, and I'm dying to try it.
I don't believe I've ever had any cabbage pasta salad.
Well, this is your time to try it. If you want more, just let me know. I'm going to give us a good spoonful. I don't want to mess it up, though. I got to make sure. It's just a little pasta, but it gives it a different flavor.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Pretty good.
Just a little bit of season on it, but it just gives it just what it needs to cover it, just to give a little dressing to it, but it doesn't overpower it.
Good. You know, we went out to Gary West today. He's one of our farmers market vendors to check on how he was doing growing his tomatoes, and his tomatoes look pretty good. They're coming along. Of course, Gary doesn't mind telling you what he's doing. He and his dog Pepper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know Pepper.
Oh, yeah, I know him very well. But I will tell you this, Gary also has some really nice tomatoes, too, at our farmer's market.
He does. He grows heirloom tomatoes.
And they're good. They're really good. He sells out pretty quick on those tomatoes, too.
But this is good, too, but it doesn't have any tomato in it.
No, but one of his sliced tomatoes would be just perfect with it. That is good. And the onion just gives a little bit of flavor too. That's some green onions. You've got to check out the recipe on the website. You're gonna love it. Frank and I will see you next time on Garden Light. See you next time.
Okay.
On that bank right over there. I'm gonna get it. He pulled the darn hook. I didn't have. Come on, girl. Hey, Frank. There's old Frank. That's the farm dog.